In this video, we'll be reviewing conjugates of complex numbers, something that was covered on quiz 2. It'll show up, I believe there's 2 questions quick on the test about it, and then the concept of conjugates is going to show up again later in math anytime you're trying to cancel out something inconvenient, such as an imaginary number, or later on it's square roots in the denominators, so it's something that's applicable throughout math. Conjugate is simply take the imaginary part, so our imaginary part is that negative 4i, and change the sign. Okay? So the imaginary part, instead of negative 4i, it becomes positive 4i. And the reason we want to be able to do that is when I multiply a complex number by its conjugate, I'll get the I to cancel out and be able to write it ultimately as a real number. So 4i plus 4 times negative 4i plus 4. If we do foiling quick, 4i times negative 4i is negative 16i squared. 4i times positive 4i is 16i. Positive 4 times negative 4i, negative 16i. 4 times 4, 16. 16i minus 16i, the imaginary number, cancels out. And then we should recall that I equals the root of negative 1. So I squared equals root negative 1 times root negative 1. If I square a square root, that cancels out the square. I squared is the same as negative 1. And negative 16 times negative 1 is 16. So we now have 16 plus 16 to get that 32. Just a real number left. And that is the whole goal of conjugate, is make it just a real number. Over here where conjugates show up, going through and ultimately factoring something such as this, x third factors out of every part, step 1, it's good. Okay? What adds up to be 7? 3 and 4. What multiplies to be 12? 3 and 4. We're good to go. This multiplies back to be that. Here I've got a plus 4. Well, ultimately the factors of that would be plus 2i minus 2i. And if I go FOIL that super fast, I got x squared. I got minus 2x, or 2i. I got plus 2ix. And I got minus 2i squared. Well, that is the same as x squared minus 2 times negative, 2 times 2 is 4. There we go. Well, negative 4 times negative 4 would be x squared plus 4. So step 3 is also good. Okay? So right here, this is the mistake. Those signs should be a plus and a minus because we want the i's to cancel out. When we FOIL this thing, right here, that will give us x times I times root 3. And then this will give us negative x times I times root 3, which means the i's will cancel out. And then when we multiply I times a negative I, we'll get negative I squared, which means we'll ultimately get negative 1, and negative 1 times a negative 3 will get us back to the positive 3. So the mistake is in step 4. Ultimately, conjugates should show up. They do there, and then they need to show up there. One of those needs to be a minus to cancel out the positive, so that way this is factored correctly.